He didn't just walk in the ring. He danced, he strutted, he owned it. A showman before the bell, a storm after it. From backflips to blistering combinations, Prince Naseem Ameeed turned every fight into a spectacle. 36 wins, 31 knockouts, one undisputed truth. When the Prince was in the ring, you watched. His power was shocking, his style unorthodox, his confidence unshakable. And when his gloves landed, they didn't just score points, they ended nights. And when the gloves came off, a mansion that looked like royalty's playground, purring through the streets in his Lamborghini, turning heads just like his knockouts did. Because the Prince didn't just live like a champion, he lived like a king. So, before we relive the swagger, the spectacle, and the savage brilliance of Naseem Ameeed, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because this wasn't just boxing, this was royalty with a knockout crown. Born on February 12, 1974, in Sheffield, England, Naseem Ameeed grew up the son of Yemeni immigrants in a tough working-class neighborhood where opportunities were scarce and dreams were often left behind. From an early age, he stood out, not just for his lightning speed and agility, but for a fearless confidence that seemed far too big for his small frame. The boxing gym became his escape, a place where his unorthodox style and magnetic flair began to take shape. While others followed the book, Naseem rewrote it, blending skill, swagger, and showmanship in a way the sport had never quite seen. By 18, he had turned professional, and the boxing world was about to meet a force unlike any before. He announced himself in style, seizing the WBO featherweight crown with a ruthless TKO, then added the IBF title after stopping a seasoned champion in brutal fashion. Later, he would claim the WBC belt, cementing his status as a unified world champion in one of the sport's most competitive divisions. Known for his southpaw stance, hands-down swagger, and frightening one-punch knockout power, boasting an 84% KO-to-win ratio, his fights were more than contests. They were grand productions. His entrances, whether on a flying carpet, rising from a lift, masked like it was Halloween, or reenacting Michael Jackson's Thriller, turned arenas into theaters. Fans loved him, critics debated him, but no one could ignore him. His career ended with only a single defeat, yet his name remained etched in the sport's history. Inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and hailed as an icon who inspired a generation, especially within the British Asian community, Prince Naseem left behind more than belts. Today, his net worth is estimated at around $33 million, a testament to the spectacle, skill, and lasting legacy of one of boxing's brightest stars. But beneath the wealth and the memories, one question lingers. How did a kid from a working-class Sheffield neighborhood climb to such dizzying heights of fame and fortune? That story begins here. Before the lights, before the sold-out arenas, before the flying carpets and the million-dollar purses, there was a wiry kid with gloves too big for his hands, ducking and weaving in a small gym in Winkabank. And Naseem Ameeed, with his electric reflexes and cocky grin, became Ingle's prodigy. As an amateur, he wasn't just winning, he was performing. Every feint, every punch seemed like part of a bigger show. Those who sparred him often walked away shaking their heads, not just from the speed and power, but from the sheer audacity of how he fought. This was a teenager who could drop his hands, lean back from a punch by an inch, and fire back a counter that would rattle your bones. When he turned professional at flyweight in 1992, the boxing world barely noticed. But it didn't take long for them to. Opponents began falling early, sometimes in the first round, under the force of punches they never saw coming. By the time he moved up in weight, he wasn't just a prospect, he was a problem. At just 20 years old, he claimed the European bantamweight title, dominating Vincenzo Belcastro over 12 rounds. One defense later, he battered Freddie Cruz into defeat, collecting the WBC International Super Bantamweight title and making it clear, this wasn't a slow climb. This was a sprint to the top. With each victory, the entrances got grander, the knockouts more spectacular. Promoter Frank Warren helped bring him to bigger stages, and Ameeed answered with bigger performances. Enrique Angeles? Gone in 2 rounds. Juan Polo Perez? Another early finish. By the time the call came to fight Wales WBO featherweight champion Steve Robinson, Ameeed was already a star in waiting. The fight was Robinson's homecoming, but the storm in the ring was far worse. He dropped Robinson with a perfect left hook, and moments later, the referee waved it off. The Prince had arrived, and so had the era of showmanship in British boxing. From there, the run was relentless. He defended his new crown against crafty veterans and dangerous punchers, none more stubborn than former world champion Manuel Medina. That night in Dublin, Medina won rounds, tested Ameeed's patience, and forced him to work. But by the 9th round, the Prince's power took over. 2 more knockdowns, and Medina's corner stopped the fight. He had done it all while battling a heavy cold, and in doing so, proved he could win ugly as well as spectacularly. Next came a procession of demolitions. Undefeated Remigio Molina dispatched in 2, long-reigning IBF champion Tom Johnson broken down and finished with an uppercut. Veteran Billy Hardy flattened in the very first round after Prince predicted exactly when it would end. With each knockout, his legend grew, and so did his audacity. His hands dropped lower, his taunts sharper, his entrances wilder. By the late 1990s, he wasn't just fighting for titles, he was fighting for moments. His U.S. debut at Madison Square Garden was a showdown with brash New Yorker Kevin Kelly. The hype was enormous, the tension electric. The fight itself was chaos. Ameeed hit the canvas 3 times, Kelly twice. But in the 4th, a final, clean shot ended it. The Prince had conquered America, and now the whole boxing world was watching. Over the next few years, he carved through top names, Wilfredo Vasquez, Wayne McCullough, Paul Ingle, collecting belts and paychecks in equal measure. He added the WBC featherweight title by beating Cesar Soto, briefly holding 3 major belts at once. Then came one of his most perfect nights, a single, straight left hand flattening Vianney Bungu, a fighter who'd ruled the super bantamweights for years. But behind the brilliance, cracks began to show. Injuries to his hands, particularly a bad break against Augie Sanchez, forced layoffs. Weight ballooned in the downtime, and the discipline that once defined his training started to slip. When he gave up his WBO belt to chase a super fight with Marco Antonio Barrera, fans salivated at the matchup. What they got was a shock. Barrera, a master craftsman with ice in his veins, fought the perfect fight. Circling away from Ameed's left, jabbing, countering, tying him up when necessary, and even slamming his head into the turnbuckle in a moment of pure defiance. The Prince looked sluggish, off balance, drained from an extreme weight cut. For the first time, his swagger fell out of place. When the final bell rang, the scorecards told the story, a clear, unanimous decision. The Prince had been dethroned. The loss was more than just a mark on his record. It was a turning point. He stepped away for a year, and when he returned in 2002 against Manuel Calvo, it was clear the magic had faded. There was no knockout, no explosive finish, just a flat, unanimous decision win that left the crowd booing. He promised a quick return. It never came. At just 28 years old, Naseem walked away from professional boxing with a record of 36 wins, 1 loss, and 31 knockouts. Outside the ring, where the lights fade and the chants die, he is a man anchored by faith and family. A proud Muslim who recited the takbir before every fight, grounding himself in something greater than fame or fortune. In 1998, he married Alicia Elphinstone, his longtime love who embraced Islam before their wedding in Sheffield. She's more than the wife of a boxing icon. She carved her own path as a successful businesswoman, running a beauty salon with quiet determination. Together, they raised 2 sons, both now lacing up gloves and stepping into the shadow of their father's legacy. What does life look like when the roar of the crowd has faded, but the legend remains? For Prince Naseem Hamed, it's a world where quiet luxury meets the echoes of his outrageous glory days. A life wrapped in comfort, yet still tinged with the flair that made him unforgettable. These days, Hamed calls Surrey home, tucked away in one of England's most exclusive enclaves. His previous residence, a sprawling mansion in Dore, was the kind of place most people only dream of. 10 bedrooms stood behind grand oak-paneled halls. An indoor leisure complex boasted a swimming pool, jacuzzi, and gym, while outside, a private tennis court stretched toward a two-bedroom staff cottage. It wasn't just a home, it was a palace for a champion. At one point, he even rented a £1.4 million townhouse backing directly onto Windsor Castle, waking up each morning with royalty practically in his backyard. And then there are the cars. For Naseem, automobiles weren't just transportation. They were an extension of his personality. Sleek, loud, and impossible to ignore. He's been spotted gliding through Windsor in a bright blue Corvette Stingray, worth around £120,000, greeting passers-by with the same confident wave that once preceded his knockout blows. Then there was the £300,000 Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren, a beast of engineering capable of hitting 208 miles per hour, sadly remembered for a high-profile crash in 2005. Rumors swirl about Rolls-Royce Phantoms and Bentley Continental GTs in his collection, the kind of machines fit for a man whose entrances once cost more than most fighters' entire purses. Even in retirement, the man who floated into arenas on flying carpets and under spotlights hasn't lost his taste for grandeur. Designer fashion still finds its way into his wardrobe, and the sparkle of his past remains in the details of his present. Far from the chaos of fight nights, life for Prince Naseem ameeeed took a sharp turn in 2005. Driving his silver McLaren Mercedes SLR in Sheffield, he attempted to overtake another vehicle and collided head-on. The crash was serious, and he was later charged with dangerous driving. In 2006, he was sentenced to 15 months in prison and banned from driving for 4 years, though he served only 16 weeks before being released under electronic monitoring. That same year, he was stripped of his MBE, marking a dramatic fall from grace for a man once adored by millions. Before you go, don't miss out on exclusive perks. Click the link in the description to become a channel member and enjoy awesome benefits, like suggesting future video topics, getting early access to new content 48 hours before anyone else, and much more. Your support means the world and helps us keep bringing you the stories you love. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And while you're here, why not check out our deep dive into Sugar Ray Leonard's video? Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.